Welcome to Fighting for the Truth with Antoine Thomas. Here we buy the truth and we sell it not. Today's show, we're going to be discussing and debunking the numerous allegations that we're hearing from preachers, black preachers. We got to be very specific about that. I have yet to see one white preacher come out on this matter I'm getting ready to discuss and spout false rhetoric and false accusations about our dear brother Charlie Kirk. Today's show is just this. How could Charlie Kirk be a white supremacist? I work for Turning Point USA. Lies. And many others that's in the same category as me, being a black minority, would be able to, who worked and still does work for Turning Point USA. Speaking of my Brexit brothers and sisters, how could that be so? How could it be that we were so brainwashed, and I guess I should say those that still work at Turning Point USA, specifically my Brexit folks and all of the black and minority, as we say, black and brown folks that are working for Turning Point at this very present time. How could they be so foolish and blind, misled to be working for a white supremacist? Doesn't make sense, doesn't add up. But we're going to be discussing that today because I think it's very befitting that we talk about it and debunk the rumors and the lies and the myths and propaganda, the rhetoric, all those things that you would like to call it. It's important that we tell the truth, and fighting for the truth is exactly what we plan on and are already doing on this show. It's very important that we speak on matters that affect not only the organization as a whole, but our communities and our nation. You know, we preach a lot about healing the land and coming together, reuniting, being one under God, and all the things that we allegedly believe in and speak about. But we can't do any of this if we continue to spread false narratives and continue to push and divide one another away instead of bringing everyone together. The only way we're going to do that if we continue to shed light, debunk the rumors, speak out about it. And I'm willing to do that, willing to take a stance on it because I believe it's very important. It's been troubling me for the last couple of days as I still watch black preachers, preferably and specifically black Baptist preachers, speak about Brother Kirk and how he was spreading hate and how he is a white supremacist and how he is a fascist or was. And how could one speak well of his deeds? It's very easy to do that. Back in, would imagine they went in contract around 2022, leading up to 23. Charlie Kirk bought, and you heard me speak about this previously. He went into a contract with Candace Owens and Brandon Tatum to buy Brexit. And back in 23, we fell on the Turning Point USA. We started off in the faith division, Turning Point Faith, and we later on ventured out to have our own division within Turning Point. So Brexit is now, as we know it to be, powered by Turning Point. That's what we call it. Ultimately meaning that we fall under one roof. So you take the largest black conservative organization in the country and you mesh them together with the largest area of conservative folks in the country being Turning Point, mesh them two together, and you have a wholesome and a locking arms type situation. And I can speak for every person that I know within Brexit, very sharp people. We have a lot of professional people all the way down to blue collar workers. We have all types of walks of life that represent Brexit, and not just Black Americans, but we have Hispanic Americans, we have white Americans, we have just tons of different cultures meshing into one. To speak for them that we would not be a part of such association, organization that would have that umbrella or that stigma attached to them if it was actually true. You notice I said it was actually true. So that is definitely not something that we, first of all, believe in. We don't condone any types of hate and discrimination on the basis of gender, race, and sexuality. Brexit is a Christian organization as well as Turning Point. And so it's only befitting that we, both of those particular organizations, would come together as one. One of the things that we teach and preach at Brexit is that we're looking to foster good relationships, bringing back the nuclear family within the minority communities, and championing free entrepreneurship and education, revamping that. I'll even use the word, since it has become very popular, reimagining education in a different light, Black history with a special emphasis on that to nurture the foundations of where our country was at back in the um, Civil War times, and how the great Frederick Douglass was able to uplift and encourage the slaves and Black people during that time to have an uprising and take back their humanity, their sense of pride, and their deep rooted connections to the Christian faith. When you mesh all it together, those are some of the things that we talk about as it pertains to Black history. But moving forward, we want to definitely look at things that matter to us in America on the essence of being a good steward, a good um, person, being a good patriotic American, contributing to society, changing the mindsets of how we look at not only our current state, but our country and our trajectory of our lives to enhance not only ourselves, but our families. Those are things that we preach at Brexit. We have even moved into the space of hoping to change the hearts and minds of our college students on the HBCU campuses. This is all done at Turning Point USA. Charlie Kirk thought it was very befitting to, along with the staff and, of course, our director at Brexit, Pierre Wilson, to engage and embark upon the same ideas that was used in the majority of the white colleges that were being influenced and infiltrated by the left to indoctrinate their minds and to get them to become brainwashed, which you've heard a lot about during those tours that take place on the Turning Point USA, the tours that Charlie Kirk would go on to discuss being brainwashed. You saw the Change My Mind series on that fatal day. That has been happening for years on college campuses. And so we were bringing those same ideas and philosophies over to the historically Black colleges and universities. We had many conversations back when I was employed with Turning Point USA as a strategic manager under the Brexit hat, I oversaw the HBCU program, and I can recall many conversations with different professors and school organizers, uh, from all the way to the administration, trying to bring the same focus to the Black colleges that you saw um, in Utah the other day when my brother was killed. We were bringing those same ideologies to the HBCU field. Why did we want to do that? We didn't want to leave our people out as well. We wanted to have that same aspect and to also continue pushing what we already push at Brexit. So it was only befitting to bring that atmosphere over to the HBCU program. We obviously didn't kick that off as of yet. Not sure where that stands as of now, but I can tell you those were the things that we were looking to do because Charlie had a mindset to also impact the Black community, but America as a whole. So one could not be a white supremacist if they are actually pushing and trying to champion for a certain race to also succeed and also have the opportunity to hear the other side. If that were so, I don't believe that the ideas would have came to life. That's just one instance that we can debunk the rumors and the rhetoric that Charlie was a white supremacist. One can't be a white supremacist who we know down in history preyed upon and dismissed Black people. We know that could not be so if Charlie himself embraced the Black community despite what we see on sound bites. How do I know this? We had the opportunity on many occasions to engage, hear thoughts from Charlie on a personal level or in a group setting, um, to hear what his mindset was. He often praised Brexit for the great success and work that we were doing to change the Black community's minds. What other way to do that than have people that look like them, represent them, speak to them, and speak to the issues that they were facing because we face those same issues. It's impossible for someone to be a white supremacist if they are embracing the idea that all should come together as one. It's impossible to be white supremacist if you profess to not only know Jesus, but to follow him. It's impossible because Jesus did not preach hate, he preached love, compassion, forgiveness. So one cannot lock arms with such a person or group, in my mindset, if they were doing the opposite of those things, which we know that Charlie Kirk was not doing, neither did and is happening under Turning Point USA at this time. It is one great organization where all are invited to come, be a part, fellowship, even worship under the Turning Point Faith bracket. So we know that these things are just false. We know that it's easy to say these things when you don't know a person, especially you don't know their heart, and easy to say if you have not um, had opportunities to engage in conversations with said person or even attended any of the events that Turning Point USA and Brexit host. So if you've never been a part of these things in person, you're only getting sound bites or hearing it from social media or watching it from social media, you would not have the full picture. You will not have the full words, or I should say, content. It's very easy to speak on matters that you're not familiar with or have all the information, which is what we're seeing right now. You can go online and watch these things. Been watching them um, today. Watched some today in the last few days. It's all over social media. I'm sure everybody who's watching now has seen some type of a rhetoric that says Charlie Kirk was this, Charlie Kirk was that. But we need to get out of the mindset of speaking those things. If we're seeing that people are being reprimanded all across the country for, especially in the media world, for saying things that are not accurate. Now, I said it before, I'm all for the First Amendment. I believe it is very important. We champion the First Amendment, but you should be able to use your voice and speak your voice and your mind, but you need to be factual. You need to have the correct information when you're speaking of someone's character and someone's um, thoughts and words, and don't get them misconstrued. And a lot of people are saying they can go back and pull up the tape on things that Charlie has said that offends the black community. I can't find one that he has said that offends the black community. If we should move forward with this, it's been many a times Candace Owens, who is a black woman, Brandon Tatum, who is a black male, um, Vince Ellison, who is a black male, even myself, where we have been misquoted. Not only that, we have had directions pushed to us that we, Larry Elder, that ourselves are white supremacists. It's impossible for a person of the same race who is allegedly being oppressed to be um, a white supremacist or anything else that people are trying to make them out to be if they are on the same side of the people or same complexion of the people that are spouting the false information. So it's only what I call inaccurate, crazy. Obviously, it's a lie, but how can one? It's a be example would be if I am a killer, murderer, I go around committing murder, and I see a person who is riding down the street, and automatically assume just by the nature of their color that they are also a murderer just by what they look like, or vice versa. See a person of the opposite complexion, and I just assume based on no information that they are a murderer. I just assume just by their color, their gender, or any other thing that they are a murderer. It would be crazy, ludicrous to say some things like that, not knowing who the person really is or who they're associated with. So I said that to say it is very troubling that preachers are saying this and that preachers are accusing Charlie Kirk himself of being all these things that they have been stating: white supremacist, fascist, person who preaches hate, and all the other things alike. It's very important we be very, very, very careful with our words, even though we are able to voice our opinions, like I stated a second ago. But you want to do it in a kind way. You want to do it in the right way. And a lot of them are being condescending by looping in that no one should be killed, let alone on national TV. And then they follow up with words like, but I can't celebrate that. Well, and inherently you are celebrating it, because if you're bringing it up and your members in your congregation, your parishioners are clapping and praising your words, you are doing just the opposite of what you just said. Some of the main preachers out there talking about white supremacists and I even heard one preacher bring up the fact he went all the way back to the Trayvon Martin days which those two instances would not be able to connect and mesh together. We know that Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman got into a physical altercation in Florida due to the fact that Zimmerman was playing a vigilante, and I spoke out against that as well. I don't agree with that. You should let the police do their job. Your job as a civilian, if you have no grounds to um, intercept or intervene, you're supposed to cite and report, call 911. So when you mesh those type of scenarios together, it tells me that you're just fetching, you are reaching for things that do not connect to add on and support your, not argument, but your comments or statements. Be mindful that we're listening, we're watching, and we won't just stand back and say nothing. We're going to speak about it because it's very important that we do it. It is up to us to change the narrative and to debunk the myths and the lies. And so Charlie couldn't be a white supremacist if we ourselves, as Blended members, work for Turning Point, and some of us and the rest of us are members of Turning Point. So it would be, in my mind, impossible to be a racist or white supremacist if you just purchased the largest black organization, conservative movement in the country, and brought them under the Turning Point USA umbrella to make the organization even greater and larger and profitable, meaning re-educating the minds of those who think the opposite way. So one could not be these things, but one can be a person who cares, wants to see other communities succeed, and wants to fulfill the mission and the goal of what conservatism is. And that is changing minds, teaching, educating the citizens on how to be great stewards over their lives, finances, over their communities, and to champion for every person to have a better life and outcome, and to preach and teach and educate people on how to foster a good family environment, to bring back the nuclear family structure, to make sure that America is being put first, to make sure, first of all, before over America, that God is being put first. And so when you put all those things in a pot and boil them down, what you get is a person, speaking of Charlie, who was doing the right thing, saying the right things, wanting to make our country better. So I say to every person, preacher, social media influencer, news anchor, CEOs, whatever you and whoever you are who are spreading this information, I challenge you to go back, do your homework, check your sources, and be very mindful that this is someone's uh, husband, father, son, brother, cousin, friend, who you are spreading false information about, but also misrepresenting their character. And I don't think any of us would like to be remembered by folks who don't like you in a bad way, in a false way. So I say be very careful. And preachers, you should only preach the word, the gospel, and you should preach a message of love. You shouldn't make your Sunday morning services about a man who you deem with no factual evidence to be a racist white supremacist. But what you should be preaching is how Christ died and how he rose, but how he died for the world. and how he died to bring people together, even those who didn't like him, and how he rose. And one day we hope to see him. That's what the message should look like, and to preach people to come to repentance and to not tell them what they want to hear, not engage in social justice type messages, but the messages of hope, messages of repentance, messages of correction. So that's what I have to say about that. I don't want to continue to circle back to it, and I will only do one show about this because there's other things to talk about, more important things to discuss. And as we still mourn the loss of Charlie Kirk, we want to continue to pray for the family, Turning Point family, the Blexit family, everyone who knew Charlie personally and did not have, or maybe didn't know him, but seen the impact. And maybe you have been impacted by the work that we do at Turning Point USA. Continue to pray that we get stronger and stronger, and pray that our nation finds solidarity and peace, and that we can all connect and join together as one so that we can fight off the real threats, so that we can fight off the real terrorists, so that we can really fight off our enemies. Because if we're busy bickering and spreading rumors about one another, we're definitely unfocused. We're definitely not watching, and that gives room for the enemy to creep in and seep in, and that creates a space for people who want to do harm to America to happen, because we're so divided, confused, messed up, and we're fighting one another. So let's continue to love, continue to speak truth to power. And until we come together again, do me a favor, buy the truth, sell it not.